What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? Welcome back. So we had to take a little break because I had a mean cold. It took my voice, so I don't know. I probably still sound pretty terrible, but this makes for better podcasting than last week where I was going through puberty. So, so with that being said, Monday, Tuesday are our topics, Wednesdays are our discussion, and then Fridays we talk about everything else, so non-cyber related. So this one will be another good one because we have 2 weeks of stuff to talk about. So definitely tune in for that. But without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article is from arstechnica.com, written by Shannon Harding, and it's titled, "Journalist Plugs in Unknown USB Drive Mailed to Him. It Exploded in His Face." Yes, unknown USB drive that was mailed to a journalist exploded in his face. That is exactly what I said here. So here's the thing. So this was in Ecuador, right? So they got a little bit of turmoil going on down there when it comes to journalists, right? And what they report and whether or not, the freedom of the press is something that should be valued and isn't necessarily something that you see everywhere, right? So what was happening here was that there were journalists that were getting USB drives mailed to them, and they actually had some explosive in it. So all it required was as little as 5 volts of electricity for this to go off, and they actually had one that actually did go off and injured a journalist. It was his hand, I believe, took some injury too. But so this is one of those cyber things, right? So this is one of those things where we tell people this, and when I was in the military, we used to do exercises on this to where your comm squadrons would leave USB drives just laying around, right, to see who would plug one into a computer that you're taught not to do, right? So like you can always do the training. You can always tell people, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to do it. But you got to test that theory every so often. Now, mind you, in the military, we weren't blowing people up when we were doing it, right? So like it would be one of those things where it would get left, and if it got plugged in, you would see a message. There would be something that would be sent, to the comm squadrons or wherever it may have been, right, to the NOSes, but this is why you don't do that, right? You don't take something that you don't know what the contents of it are and just plug it up and hope you can get some information or whatever, right? Journalists by nature, they're a little nosy, right? You know what I mean? It's kind of what they need to be, right? They have to have that mindset that they need to go out there and find the story and report the news, hopefully, right? When I say journalists, I mean it in the truest of senses. I don't mean just like opinion makers, right? To just tell you what they believe and want you to believe the same thing, but to try to seek the truth. And this is where that happens, to where it can kind of, excuse the pun, but blow up in your face, right? So again, this was something that you have people out there that want to do harm, and they know that this is a way to go about doing it, right? So we say it all the time that cyber, when it comes to cybersecurity, when it comes to IT, like this is the way that people are using to attack, right? Like if this was the olden days, somebody probably would have just stormed into an office with a gun, right? You don't have to do that anymore to cause harm, right? I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's not necessarily as prevalent as it used to be, right? Especially in a country like Ecuador, right? It's I shouldn't say that, right? Because we have problems with that here in the United States as well. But this is one of those things, people. You don't just grab something you don't know and just plug it up into your computer, right? You don't do it with a CD, a DVD, a USB, something that you don't know where its origins come from, because things like this happen, right? This is dangerous. So just be mindful, people. Don't say, oh, I wonder what is on this, and it could be you trying to be a good Samaritan, even, right? You could be like, hey, I want to know who this belongs to so I can mail it back to them. Maybe it's got some information that'll tell me who it belongs to, where I can send it back to. No, don't do that. Just leave it be, destroy it. Like there's no need for that to happen, right? For you to plug it up into your system, right? Like in this case, it was explosives, right? But it could have been some type of malware, ransomware, or something like that. As soon as you plug it in, there's no telling what it could have been. But people, do not take things that are of unknown origin and plug them into your systems. Okay. So Ryan, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's same. I was very surprised to see the article. I was like, man, that's crazy. So especially he whoever did it attempted to do it 5 times, right? So you're able to intercept the 4th one. and control detonated. But yeah, just such a small device able to do so much damage. Excuse me. Where the journalist that it did detonate on, it hurt his hands, hurt his face. Could have been much worse. Um, and it leads me to believe that maybe it could be possible in the States. But I had a conversation with it was James Carroll the third when I posted this on my LinkedIn, where we went kind of back and forth, just kind of discussing like, well, could this be possible in the States because of the way that we screen mail and things of that nature. Maybe they don't have the same experience that we have because we've had like the Unabomber and other incidents in the States where we kind of do our due diligence when screening packages for explosives and chemicals and things of that nature. So hopefully it would have been detected before it made it all the way to someone's doorstep, and then and detonated, right? So I think we're a little bit more paranoid over here. We have a little bit more of a for better or worse, a security apparatus that would have caught this before it transpired. But yeah, you have to be careful. Like you said, like journalists are supposed to be nosy, supposed to be sleuths and like checking out stuff and what have you. So perhaps they had a letter attached to it that was like, hey, this is groundbreaking news, or here's a tip or a leak that caused them to plug it in. And I wouldn't I wouldn't have plugged. I don't even plug in my own USB drives if I leave them around the house too long. I get paranoid. I'm like, is that mine? What did I put on there? Um, so obviously I'm a little bit more hyper vigilant about it. But if I were to find one or one to be mailed to me, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to plug that into my device, uh, just because of malware and things of that nature. So again, like maybe their security training was not as robust or in depth. I would assume so though. Because Ecuador is no small country, so I'm sure they do go through the same rigmarole that we do when it comes to cyber. However, again, like people take advantage of circumstances. Like so, perhaps there was some event or something going on. They're like, "This is how we're going to get to this person to silence them, and make it so enticing that they plug it in."
It could have been hand delivered, even, right? Like
Yeah, it could have been. It could have been a courier or something like
yeah.
that. Yep. To make sure that it made it into the hands of the right person to plug it in. But yeah, the people, it's amazing how um, uh, ingenuity kind of builds upon itself, right? We went from mailing things of bad nature to now making them small enough to put them in a USB drive to then deliver to somebody to plug in and blow up. So it makes you very apprehensive to do most of anything. If it doesn't belong to you, don't touch it. If it's a box, a container, a bag, then don't kick it. Just walk away. Just walk away from it. Just be cautious. Like I hate to tell people to be paranoid, but be aware of your surroundings and just be safe out there. Like it's crazy what bad guys are figuring out and then able to test, because they said in the article that it was tested beforehand. Like the person would have to go through several iterations of this to make it small enough, not as obvious enough, and make sure that it was going to do the damage that they wanted to do. So somebody gets sitting in the lab blowing up USB drives to make sure it's going to work properly. So the due diligence on the bad guy's part is also impressive in a bad way, right? It's pretty remarkable that somebody would take the care and time to do something so nefarious and then carry it out and make it happen. So but yeah, like Shannon said, just be careful. Don't plug in USB drives and things of that nature. Stay away. But with that being said, definitely continue to tune in throughout the week. Check us out on Monday, Tuesday, our topics. Wednesdays, our discussion. So we have a really good one this week. And then Fridays, talk about everything else. So books, movies, games, all that good stuff. So check out the website with our name, or the websites that go by our name, I should say. And then hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Clubhouse. Stay safe. Stay secure.